Have you heard of the new Dane and The Pain themed part of Disney World? If you can tell an amazing joke, you win a date with Johnny Depp. On this week's episode, Lars gets a new phone. Researchers invent spray-on touchpads that even works on Jell-O. China takes a stance against cyber terrorism, and the crowd makes the perfect computer with Eve. The Dane and the Pain, the square root of -1 since 1997.
And you are listening to The Dane and The Pain, this show that holds the Guinness Book of World Records record for the hairiest legs shown on Twitter. We're not going to disclose who they were. Good afternoon, Joel, I guess. Well, it's probably evening your place. How are you doing?
Oh, yeah, you pried me off the beach to come home. Now, I had the kids at school, but we were today is a Memorial Day, so we traditionally go down to this hike down to a beach, and so I sent you a couple pictures.
You did, yeah. What's Memorial Day?
Yeah. Well, so that's there's sort of a long history in the U.S., but basically back in the post, I believe, the Civil War, the folks would go and visit cemeteries to honor the people who had, and their families who had died in the war, and that tradition was carried on, and I don't know exactly when it became a national holiday, but in essence, that's what the holiday is. Now, of course, it turns into a lot of other things for other people, but I have to say, being a fairly patriotic guy, we go to the cemetery every year, and it's interesting, I didn't know this, but I found out today one of my brothers came with me with his kids in his shop class when he was teaching at the high school, made all of the crosses that they put up in the cemetery, which are very cool. They're these little white crosses that are they come apart with a wing nut, and they've got a hole drilled in the top to put a flag in. So they basically are these sort of pre-assembled crosses they can take down and put up each year. But basically, it's remembering the people that have fought and served for the country. That's a pretty important day.
Yeah, it reminds in Australia that's called Anzac Day, which is the Australian New Zealand Army Corps, and it's on the 25th of April. Which is remembering a particular day in the First World War where, well, essentially, sorry, British listeners, but the British kind of just went, they're just Aussies, whatever, just feed them to the lions. And so that's kind of where that come from. So I'm guessing that's a similar day. We also do have a Remembrance Day in November, but that's kind of similar thing, I think.
Yeah, and they tend to go. Like Pearl Harbor has always been the big day for that I remember people talking about, and there's several other in a year, but those are the ones. And Memorial Day anymore though is just part of a long weekend for a lot of folks, and it's watching auto racing and drinking beer, which that's great, but that's not me. So, but I gotta tell you, going to the beach is the best, and it was really hard to leave. I mean, like literally, it was just so nice. It was about 60 degrees. It had a fire going. No bugs. No people.
No bugs. I like that one.
Nothing. Just the waves.
Now, you mentioned something before that I thought, hey, hang on, what? You went to the beach in Alaska. Is that a thing people do? Like, that sounds like a California thing or something, but does that mean that you're lying there,
No, so I don't, there's not a lot of sunbathers, but there's people with children, and of course the water temperature can be pretty cold, 45 to 52 Fahrenheit, 55 Fahrenheit, kind of depends. But people do go to the beach. They're not in this particular area. They're mainly rocky beaches, so they're not beaches that you can sort of lie out on. So like where we hiked to it's about a 1.5 mile hike through the woods, and there's a stretch of beach that's probably 100 meters long. That is what you'd consider not a super sandy beach, but almost sandy. You know what I mean? Where it's fine enough that you can walk on. So
Yeah, because in Australia, like a beach is just fine sand, right? There almost isn't any other kind of beach. Whereas if you go to somewhere like or places in Greece that I've been, a beach is actually just boulders. It's just rocks, but the beautiful water's there and everything. So it really depends on what your definition of a beach is.
Yeah, and if you get further out, if you go out on the exposed beaches on the outer west coast of Prince of Wales Island, adjacent to here, you'll find long stretches of beaches like that. So.
Yeah, right. Now, I have something I thought I'd share, and this is going to make lots of people groan. But
it's not a
I
joke
got a
already,
new phone.
is it?
No, we'll get to that. I got
You
a
got
phone.
a new phone?
I did. And before we
Did you get
to...
Did you get a Blueberry or no? You got a Blackberry or a
Blueberry,
raspberry?
knows a raspberry. So this phone has it has a fingerprint scanner, so I can log in with my finger, which works incredibly well. It's very fast. It has a quite a decent camera, not as good as my previous phone, but it's a pretty good camera. 64 gigs of storage. It has a 6-inch screen or 5.8, something like that. It's reasonably large. It has 4 gigs of RAM. It's USB-C powered. It has speakers from Bang & Olufsen, which is a Danish company. Very, very good audio quality. What else does it have? It has my iris recognition, so it recognizes my face and my eyes. It's incredibly sturdy. Like the guy I got it from, he has one similar. He just threw it on the floor over his shoulder and without thinking, and it doesn't crack. It's just incredibly sturdy. It has a beautiful display. Like it's really, really nice. It's I'm not sure what the display technology is actually. I might just look that up while we're talking. But it also has some really cool business features. So you can attach it to a dock and it becomes your PC essentially. It has Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. It has whatever you can think of almost is in this for technology. Now, would you like to venture a guess of what it is?
Yeah, I haven't a clue, but you bought it from a person, which tells me it's not likely a new phone.
Well, let's say it's a developer device. I could have bought it new. It could certainly be new. It is a current device.
Honestly, Lars, I have no idea. Do I even follow you on?
No, but my I guess my
You mean like an iPhone?
Of,
it's not an iPhone. It could be an iPhone. It had to be some sort of high-end Android or something.
It's funny, isn't it? Because that immediately you think that. It actually also has wireless charging now that I think of it. And it comes with what's called a lap dock, which is, well, I didn't get this particular accessory, but you can get what's called a lap dock, which looks like a laptop, but it's just a screen.
It's an HP then, right?
It is an
Is
HP.
it HP?
This is the
okay.
HP Elite X3. And it's a phone that most people, when I showed it to them, go, oh, God, it's another Windows phone. But when I explain it without saying it's a Windows phone, people are very interested. And I just thought it was interesting how much difference the OS does, right? I mean, I agree. It doesn't have the apps that Android or iOS does. But my God, it's a great device. Even the battery life. I've been using this all day now, so it's 3 p.m. here, which means I've been using it since about 6 a.m. I haven't charged it since then, and I'm at 77%. And I've used it. I've been on the phone probably for 2 hours today. I've been, using the Twitters and the Facebooks and the emails and whatnot like I normally do. And it's still a 77%. I'm very impressed with this device.
So
overall.
is that even? Is it available in the States? Is that something? I imagine it's something I can buy here, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you can buy that. You can. I know it's in the Microsoft Store. But yeah, it's in Australia. It's $1,100. So that's what $600-700 US or something. But you probably have different ways of getting it because you tend to get much more subsidy from telcos in your part of the world. But anyway,
I don't buy contract phones anymore. So
okay.
And I've had really good luck actually buying phones. Well, thankfully, because of connections through social media, there's a really healthy secondary market for a lot of these phones, and usually if you just put it out there what you're looking for, somebody can track it down. And I've bought 3 phones like that,
Okay.
including the 950 I have right now for $130. It's like, well, go buy a new phone for that much money, and basically
Yeah.
that's what it is. So, well,
No,
that's
I
cool.
agree.
Are you
I
going to do
agree.
a review or anything on it? Or are you going to just
Yeah, I
throw it
think
over your shoulder and
I haven't been that game yet. But no, I think I probably will try and kind of just because it's a Windows mobile device, Windows 10 mobile. It's not a consumer device, right? I wouldn't expect everybody to go out and buy this as a consumer device, but it is
Yeah.
aimed at enterprise, and it is aimed at, getting lots and lots of these devices into a single company, and they can manage them because there's no better management than Windows, the Windows ecosystem when it comes to enterprise stuff. The things you can do remotely as a mobile admin or a sysadmin. It's just incredible, right? You can lock down devices and you can enforce rules and services and Active Directory and VPN connections and no. And I'm most likely doing some projects with this phone, which is kind of why I've got it, which is very exciting. And there's some very, very cool enterprise scenarios and use cases for it. So that's kind of where it sits.
So I was going to ask a rather personal question on the HP phone that you got.
Yeah.
About what did you pay for it?
Well, I didn't pay anything for it.
And you don't have to answer that question if you don't want to. If you're going to.
Yeah, no, I
yeah,
didn't
you
actually
can-
pay anything for it because it was supplied for the project that I'm doing. So
I see.
that's why I can be quite liberal in what I'm saying because I don't have any vested interest in it as such.
Yeah, well, no, that's pretty cool. So, I mean, but there is a price to it. I mean, obviously, if you're having to use it for work, or you're kind of helping them out in that way. So that's a good thing. You need the tools. You need the tools, right?
That's right, exactly. And I'm just really happy with it. And it really is quite a nice device. The only thing is it's a little bit slippery, so it tends to feel like you're dropping it out of your hand you're not actually, but it just feels like it. It's also dual SIM, another thing, which is kind of cool. But anyway, enough about the phone. I thought that you brought up this really cool thing, and it kind of grabbed me. It's just so weird. So the title of this article is "Researchers Create Touchpads with a Can of Spray Paint," and and it is as strange as it sounds. Some researchers have come up with a spray can, so your spray paint can, and you can actually turn surfaces into touchpads. As simple as that. It sounds really weird. I'm not sure exactly how they're doing it, but they say here in the article, this kind of threw me off. You can turn jelly into a touchpad.
Anything that you can get this material to adhere to could in effect become a could sense and respond to touch, or in that sense. But actually, it seems to me I saw some sci-fi movie or something at one time where they there was like people could spray on a reactive surface for like a computer or something like that, and it's like, well, no, this is actually happening. Which I know
they're saying here walls, furniture,
cool.
steering wheels, toys, and even Jell-O can be turned into touch sensors. So obviously you have to attach some electrodes to it, right? You got to somehow get the signal out of it. But you could, I think like something like a steering wheel, that makes perfect sense to me because we always had buttons on it, right? The last 20 years, manufacturers of cars have put buttons on steering wheels. So why not have a touch sensor, or even have like you can monitor if people are driving one hand and then give them an electric shock, I don't know, something, so that it becomes a safety thing, or you can just have entertainment buttons on the steering, whatever it might be. You can actually do lots of stuff with this. that has real benefits.
And so of course, the idea wouldn't be that you or I would have a can of something and we'd spray it.
What?
The idea would be is that as a manufacturer would be using this material on a set of say well, like an IKEA, one room home. You imagine if you had a wall that was attached to your solar power array, and that wall then became that grid became your control panel for the home. And you start thinking about how this could be used, and it's pretty cool.
It is very cool. So they call it electric, like the way that they market it is electric. I don't know why that is.
It's TRICK. I mean, that sounds like, honestly, that sounds like something I would come up with to be.
I know I wasn't that. Yeah, anyway, they call it electric. I guess it's because it's a trick of how do you. They say here the trick is to apply electrically conductive coatings or materials to objects or surfaces, and that's why they came up with electric. But still, is a bit. It's everybody's going to misspell it.
Well, I mean, yeah. Imagine I love it. They like Play-Doh. Imagine if your kid has Play-Doh and you plug it in, or you have a remote sensor on it that you can control, and the car can light up, or
Daddy,
something like that.
my Play-Doh's unplugged again.
Yeah, or the Play-Doh's on fire, probably more likely.
Oh, I shorted out the Play-Doh. Hey, I thought that's very interesting. Electric. That's what it's called.
It's I think it's Carnegie. Is it Carnegie Mellon? I think that's the where like the research is being done. So I'm curious to look.
Carnegie Mellon University.
I got to scrap beneath the surface here and see who has got their fingers in this. So
that would be really cool. There's always someone behind it, isn't there?
Well, no, I mean, you know what I mean? There's usually the research, and then you look at the researchers, and the researchers are funded by X, Y, and Z, or the company is the one that, or companies are the ones funding the research or providing grants for the research. So it'll be interesting to see where it leads. And this one hasn't got a lot of. I mean, I look at the article, and it hasn't got a lot of sharing. So I'm not sure how widely known it is, anyways.
But just imagine you do your 3D printing, right? So you print out whatever it might be, your little robot or whatever, and then you apply this electric, and then you attach, a battery pack or whatever it is to it, something, and a Bluetooth chip, and then you got a robot. Like it's it's very cool. I think it has great potential.
I'm you know what? I love spray paint. I'm just teasing.
It's a whole new form of graffiti.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting. Sorry, just a little personal side. I was at an appointment with one of our kids, and we were talking about communication issues, and the gal, the person who I was speaking with said, well, in the future, it's all going to be visual, and, everything's going to be like an iPad. And I just nearly wanted to force choke her, because I was like, no, it's not going to be like an iPad in the future. Yeah, and yes, visual and touch will matter, but so will voice, and actually I think voice is even more important, more broadly. But that's a different path to go down.
Yeah, definitely.
When people refer to the iPad as like bleeding edge technology, I want to pass out. It's like,
yeah, I'm not gonna comment.
No, it's not. Yeah. So, anyways, what else do we have to talk about?
What else do we have? Another thing that's quite pertinent. So this it came out yesterday, my times, on Monday, and it's about China. Apparently, China is implementing cybersecurity laws from this Thursday, which is something you brought up again. And I thought that you always hear about China being the home of hackers and virus and whatever. If you look at these doomsday, distributed denial of service attack maps, you always see all the traffic coming out of China attacking the Western world. And I always thought they were probably a bit contrived. I'm not sure. I don't know much about China, if I'm honest, but I thought this was very interesting. You found this article about China being on the forefront of protecting their consumers from cyber terrorism. As they, oh, God, cyber terrorism? Really? Can we find another word for it? All the cybers. What does cyber mean? Anyway.
No, it doesn't mean anything. It's like terrorism anymore. It gets thrown around as a descriptor that doesn't really. It means many things to different people, but the part that I thought was interesting in particular about this is that this is laws defining access to information. Any online providers cannot collect or sell user personal information, and gives the user the right to have their information deleted in cases of abuse, which is interesting because the people who were reportedly pushing back against this law in China were companies from outside the U.S. or outside of China, excuse me, that were doing business in China in particular, because that is, obviously a company like Google, that's how they make their money. And so I just thought it was very interesting that China, as we are, sort of having a national move towards attack on the free internet, China is moving the opposite direction and actually toughening up standards for which companies can use access personal information. I don't think it's completely altruistic, because my guess is that what China wants is control more than anything else, and I suppose what they'll want is some access to that information themselves.
No.
Call me paranoid.
Governments never has any ulterior motive.
I have to assume that's the case, but I think the timing of it was, net neutrality in the States is under attack, and in China they're protecting consumer rights. I'm like, come on, what's up is down, what's down is up.
Yeah, that's kind of the way it is, isn't it? We've probably touched on this in the show before, but Australia has these laws about metadata. And the government, or the ISPs, now collect metadata in large quantities. And what has only happened is that the government has essentially said, hey, you know what? We're looking for, let's call it terrorism in this case, or, cyber activists or whatever. And we're looking for them, and we're going to look at your metadata to try and figure out who they are. So they've all just gone, oh, cool, all right, we'll just use a VPN then. And so now this whole collection system has no value, and they don't know what they're going to use it for. And the guy in charge of it was very famously on TV trying to explain what it was, and he has no clue. He had no clue what metadata was. It seems the governments are kind of very, very reactive to these things, whereas China, in this case, seemed to be kind of spearheading some good stuff.
Well, in the last week, it's so funny. So 3-4 years ago, China announced that pretty broadly that it was going to develop its own OS to replace these reliance on, at the time, XP or Windows stuff. And in this past week, Microsoft announced Windows GE or Government Edition in China. Yep. And I thought, well, they'd been working. I know I'd shared before a couple of years ago. They've been working with a Chinese company in close concert. I mean, they're doing what they need to do to be a presence in China, which they're just acting like a business would. But I thought, I don't know, when I saw the GE, my head went to CE. I thought, in China it doesn't matter, but for me and for people who have been around for a while, the naming and the acronym was a little unfortunate. So, but we're off the subject, although we're on the subject of China. But that was an interesting, or just a little aside from the announcements this past week in China. And by the way, I do give Microsoft credit for moving and doing some of these product announcements in China, in Japan, and making that a priority, and taking the A team with them when they go. I thought that was smart on their part. So anyway, I digress.
No, I agree, and it's and also the HoloLens is now out in China, so
That's yes.
I like that. I like
So
that.
you're
I think a
working
lot
on
of
your
good stuff
Mandarin, right?
Oh, she. No, that was just rude because I have no idea what that means. So no, I don't speak Chinese, unfortunately. I'd love to. I think it's quite an interesting language. Moving on, Mr. Jackson.
I think there's a trip to China in your future. I just have to know. In the back of my head, I'm thinking this is going to happen. Lars is going to go to China.
I'd love to. I'd love to go to China
with HoloLens. So anybody listening that there's an opportunity out there where they want somebody really cool to come to China and talk about HoloLens, give me a call.
I was about to say, Lars will know someone.
and then I'll tell Lars. No, yeah, Lars can find somebody for you. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh dear. No, it's all good. Yeah, on the subject of China, we now have 57 countries listening to our show. I think that's pretty darn awesome.
57?
So thank
really?
you. Yeah, 57 countries. So thank you to the one listener from China that may listen to this. But we also recently had Latvia, Belize, and Guatemala join us, which is very cool. So welcome to the whole world, to our little pokey show here on the interwebs. Let's move on, because I had heard of this company. I believe we talked about this company in a previous episode many moons ago. What? Yeah. What? We're third world, huh? And it's a company called Eve, and I think you brought this to my attention a long time ago, Joel. Is that right? You might have talked about this quite a while ago.
Yeah, we talked about it a long time ago because at one time Eve devices first came out. The first thing they came out with was a tablet, the T1. It was like an 8-inch a Windows 10 tablet, and I got one. It had some build issues. I think that they would admit. It was bendy. It worked. It was probably underpowered for running Windows 10, but it did work, and I still have it. I haven't powered it up for a while to see what will happen, but I could do that. But when I bought the device, I signed up their online community just to give them feedback, because I think most companies appreciate that kind of stuff. And then they said they wanted to build a better Surface tablet. And so they started this online process of asking folks what people wanted. And so if you went on their site, there were different chat areas and where they would ask for feedback on certain things. And they did that over a period of 2 years. And it's one of those deals where you kind of always wonder, well, what's going to happen? Is it going to just peter out, because there's a lot of competition. Hardware's hard, pardon the expression. And they came up with a device that basically the users said that they should build, or the people in their, I think they have 3,800 people in their feedback loop. And they let you follow the whole process. So the guys, like when they go to China's source parts and whatever, they would post pictures and about what they were doing. And so it was pretty, sort of a novice like me, it was really interesting to watch this. And they did, like a Kickstarter or whatever to build this new V device, and they sold out within a few hours. And I think they're going to be at, is it Computex is the next big computer.
I'm not sure. That certainly is an event that's coming.
Yeah, they're going to be there with with the new device, the actual device. And I couldn't go through all the technical details on you, but if we'll put a link on our site, and obviously I've shared it on Twitter too, but they're on
Hmm.
Twitter. But it is
Yeah,
it's
I can
designed to
comment
be
on it if you want. Like the
yeah
hardware itself is quite impressive, to be honest. It's very blatantly a ripoff of the Surface tablet. I mean, they don't even kind of cover it. It just says, beat Surface
yeah
Pro 4 by this, and all that stuff. So that's okay. It does have 16 gig of RAM. Has the latest Intel 7th Gen Intel processor. It does have apparently incredibly good battery life, which is very important. As I was just mentioning before with the smartphone that I've got, like the fact that I can use it a whole day, quite vigorously on whatever I'm using it on, means that it works. I don't have to charge it. But it does seem. I mean, I can't comment on build quality because I haven't actually touched one. How's the one that you've got? Does it feel
well
sturdy?
so that's the thing is the tablet I had, that was one of the problems. It had a plastic back and it bent, and when you used it you could hear it, crick, it could physically, and you
Okay.
could feel it. And that was not so much of an issue because that tablet was a $200 or $300 tablet. It wasn't that expensive.
Mm-hmm.
These start out around 800 and go up.
Yep.
So that's the risk of being an early adopter, is that you could run into problems with quality and all of that. I think, but if you look at the specs, it has the USB-C, which for a lot of people now is sort of the thing they got to have.
Mm-hmm.
So it does have some things that Surface doesn't.
Yeah, the keyboard looks quite nice on this new tablet, which is very much like a Surface keyboard, but it does look like it's reasonably good. I'm just looking through the site here. There's has to be king of ports. So their site basically is about crowdfunding. Sorry, not crowdfunding, crowd developing. So it's based on feedback and input from more than 1,000 people, including Mr. Joe Jackson. So it has lots of ports because people want ports. It's not an Apple computer where they remove all the ports and make you buy dongles. A little aside story here. I needed a USB-C to HDMI converter urgently because the one I bought hadn't arrived online. And I went to an Apple reseller store. Guess how much a USB-C to HDMI, pretty simple dongle, just for output of video to a big screen. Guess how much that is?
I'm going to put it at 29 US.
It's 149 Australian dollars, so about 100 US dollars.
Wow.
Yeah,
But
silence
you
is
got to
correct.
understand is I don't I don't buy that kind of stuff. I have people that buy it for me.
Yeah, but
and
imagine
then I
so
and
so
then I sign the bill.
so the Yoga 910 that I've got only has one USB port and two USB-C ports. It doesn't have any video output of any sort of any type, right? And the reason is that it's so tiny, slimline type ultrabook, that there just isn't room for any more than that. So I rely on USB-C to something else. If I wanted to go to VGA, I need another one. If I want to go to DVI, I need a separate different one. I would end up spending as much, half the price of the laptop in an Apple store on dongles, which is why I go to eBay. But this Eve, coming back to the product at hand, it does have USB and USB-C. It has two USB-C ports actually, which is kind of cool. What else? Yep, Thunderbolt 3, micro SD, USB 3. So pretty good selection actually. Fingerprint
Yeah, and
scanner.
I think that their timing with this is much better than with the
Mm-hmm.
tablet when they brought out the tablet. So I think as a
Mm-hmm.
commercial device, although they're coming into a pretty rich environment, they're priced. It's going to appeal to a guy, or presumably most of the people in the feedback were men. It's going to appeal to someone like yourself who's probably from Northern Europe, who doesn't want to be carrying around a Mac, who wants to have something different, but
Mm-hmm.
also wants the power. is probably a professional of some kind, who's producing something using the device, and doesn't mind and wants sort of the latest. So I think they've got a better chance at being successful with this than they did with the tablet. But I would encourage folks to go check out the Eve Device site, and even if you're not going to get one, I think going in and seeing how they ask for feedback and engage with you. And this is these are people that they're actually going to source parts in China. So you're basically you're not even one step away from them. You are in contact with them directly, which is really
that's the cool thing.
Kind of cool. Yeah,
it
really
is.
cool.
I absolutely appreciate that, because I've had Microsoft products that have somehow stopped working. Microsoft Band comes to mind, and trying to get that thing repaired or talk to someone that knows what it is or know the process for getting it returned or any of that is just such an arse ache. You just don't want to go through it again. Whereas if you had direct contact to the company, it's just, it just cuts out all those middlemen that have no idea what they're talking about. Now that we're talking about consumer focused hardware, so hardware that's built around what consumers say and want and think and all that. I don't know if you remember, but on a previous show, I talked about the Cosmo robot.
Yeah,
Maybe?
Cosmo.
Yeah, Cosmo.
Your
So a
buddy,
little fist-size
a couple
robot.
times,
yeah.
actually.
Yeah, so we got one of those for Christmas for the 11-year-old. And then the other day, one of the cubes. So Cosmo comes with these Bluetooth-enabled cubes that he plays with and lifts, and they have colors and they're a very important part of the interaction with Cosmo. So there's 3 of those. One of them runs out of power. He goes to we have this cupboard of batteries because boys at that age, everything's battery powered.
We have a drawer.
Yeah, exactly. And he finds one. He goes, "Oh, it's the same size. I'll just put that in." And he put a 12-volt battery in where it needs a 1.5-volt battery, and it just fried the thing, right?
Oops.
So it's dead.
Yeah.
So speaking of good,
sad.
yeah, no, good customer service. I write to Anki, who is the creators of Cosmo, and I say, "Hey, this happened. Can I buy another cube?" And you go, "Nah, sorry, we only sell them as a set, Cosmo and 3 cubes." I go, "Oh, bugger. All right, so what do I do?" He goes, "Contact our support." I did that. They say, "Oh, where'd you buy it?" I say, "Through Amazon." I contact Amazon support. And within probably 3 minutes, talking, this is live chat, which is I tend to use, with Amazon, they go, "Oh, okay." So I said, "Well, one of the power blocks is no longer working." They go, "Okay, no problem. Would a replacement help you?" I went, "Oh, yeah, absolutely." And then nothing happens. I went, "Hello?" And then a minute later, this person comes back and says, "Yep, it's all done. Here's your order number." And I go, "For what? What do I do now?" He said, "No, nothing. You just wait." I went, "What?" So Amazon sent me a completely new package just for me saying this little thing doesn't work, and they didn't need any evidence or anything. It just worked. Yeah, I was incredibly impressed.
People forget how important just doing more than people expect, even if it's a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
Will earn your business. You'll remember that. You'll tell that story.
Which I am now, right?
And yeah, exactly. And then all 57 countries will hear about
it. Exactly. No, I was blown away. I didn't even know Amazon had live support, that they had any sort of support you can contact directly. I had no idea. Because to me, it's just a black box. You put in your credit card and an order number and you get stuff sent. I've never actually had to contact them. So I was incredibly impressed of how easy it was and no questions asked. Yep, we just fix your problem. Here you go.
Yeah, we could do a whole show on Amazon. They're really an interesting company. Well, maybe, okay. It's a deal then. Okay.
It is a deal.
I'll throw down the gauntlet. We should do an Amazon show because I'm one of those people that don't use them a lot. We should get that Jeff guy on as a guest. You know what? I will ask him.
Okay, yeah. He lives in your neck of the woods. He's not that far away.
Yeah. What the hell, Bezos? Come up. We'll go fishing, and we'll talk a little tech.
You've never had salmon like this.
Well, It'll probably be a good day for a nap because right now salmon fishing. It's king salmon time right now. There's derby going on, and I think the average rod time is around 28 or 30 hours.
Hang on.
So that's how long you have to have a pull with a line in the water.
Hang on. You have a king salmon derby?
Yes. So everybody. So right now, roughly. Yeah,
that is so Alaskan. That's the
are,
most Alaskan thing I've ever heard, apart from what was it called? That funny dog sled thing.
Oh yeah, the Iditarod.
The Iditarod.
Well, most of the towns around here have some form of derby. Our derby is the King Salmon Derby is 3 weekends. So this weekend, the next weekend, the following weekend,
and it's just people in massive wet-proof overalls.
No, people go out in boats generally and are trolling.
Oh, okay.
For king salmon. They tend to be deeper. There's not as many of them, and the winter in my lifetime has ranged anywhere from like say 57 pounds down to 44 or 42 pounds. I've entered fish, but I've never won anything. Generally you've got to be over 40 pounds to win the derby.
But you're like 250 pounds. You'll be fine.
What's that?
You're like 250 pounds. You should be fine.
Oh, bastard. I'm not that heavy. Although I have to get life insurance, so I've got to get weighed, which is always a battle because they always tell me I'm obese. And
really?
It's
but you run like no one else I know.
Yes, well, they use the body mass index, which is just BS because if you are muscled and you are heavier. So the lightest I've ever been that I can recall is about 185 pounds. I'm 6 foot tall, and that is slightly over what my ideal weight is.
How did this conversation go from tablet computers to robots to fat people?
That's okay. Because of me, that's all. But this is probably a good time for the joke of the week.
I was about to say, I think I know what time it is now because we're in that mood, aren't we?
Yeah, we should actually make sure. Well, let's get people hold us to it. We will do a show on Amazon and Amazon alone, and you will see me invite Jeff Bezos to be on the show.
I like it. So, I think it is time for the joke of the week.
It's the joke of the week, so come along with me. I cannot promise it will be funny, but it's the joke of the week.
So, two atoms were walking across a road when one of them said, "I think I lost an electron." "Really?" the other replied. "Are you sure?" "Yes, I'm absolutely positive." See? Good one.
I should have seen that coming.
New take of the good old crossing the road joke.
Oh,
yeah. So, I'm off on Monday for many weeks, so likely some of the future episodes in the near future will be recorded on my portable microphone, my little lapel mic, so I apologize in advance if the sound quality is not great, but it is what it is. I will be in Europe for 7 weeks, which is both cool and also, fills me with the dread of being away that long. And I'm guessing you're going to enjoy the Alaskan summer. Is it, you're going to get to 40 degrees at least?
Oh, yeah. You and I both have a really full June, so folks, bear with us. And if you have ideas for shows, hit us up on Twitter or Facebook and check out our website or check out us on YouTube or Lars on YouTube. And if you have a chance, go and donate and send us your ideas, send us your critiques.
For sure.
We're definitely open for correction if we misspeak,
oh, yeah.
or if Lars misspeaks.
We just make shit up, so absolutely.
Well, Lars, until next time.
All right. See you, mate. Have a good King Salmon Derby.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening in on another episode of the Dane and the Pain. We record across the Pacific, across hemispheres, and across time zones. You can find us on www.daneandthepain.com. Our Twitter handle is Dane_Pain, and we are the Dane and the Pain on YouTube and Facebook. We're also on your favorite podcast app, including iTunes, and please join our fan club by clicking the Register Now button on our website to know about upcoming shows and any free stuff we may have to share. See you next time on The Dane and the Pain.